And then Erica calls me. She says, Ernesto, we found a property near LAX. They can take the whole group. I think we're going to go with them. So let me set the stage. So I get a call from Erica, one of my clients that I have worked with in the past on smaller programs. But now she called me pretty much asking for help. She was stressing. Her event was coming up within months. This is a large program that she was putting together. They couldn't find a location. They searched in San Diego, they went into Anaheim, and they couldn't find any place. They reached our hotel, and we had already booked someone on the main day, which is a Saturday. And at that time, she was told that we didn't have any availability. She wanted to have a 4-day production. Those events that required 1.5 days just to set up. About 300 people and about 300 rooms on peak. She calls me and she says, Ernesto, I need your help. I need to figure out how we can fit this program in your hotel because you have Saturday already taken. And at that moment, you can decline it and just move on, or you can think differently and try to figure things out. So your obvious move will be set up, tear down on Saturday morning, let the other group come in. However, in this situation, that was not realistic because the other group required a full-on setup and they couldn't tear down. Remember, the other group was there for 1 day. This new group coming in, it was a 4-day setup. So it just needed to require for the first group to set and go all the way through. Your typical hotel, once they see a similar situation, they will say, I'm sorry, can't help. However, I wanted to help. I wanted to find out a way because it was possible. With my 20 years of experience, front desk, convention services, catering, and sales, you start seeing things a little bit different. I always say that space is like playing Tetris. So instead of tearing down, I started asking a different question. What about if we don't tear down? What about if the incoming group uses the ballroom Saturday morning with the existing AV setup, the stage, and pretty much everything that's already in place? And the original client picks up where they left off. Same stage, same equipment, 2 clients, 1 room. I think that's it. Now, that sounds clean when I say it like that. It was not clean at all. Before I can promise anything to Erica, I needed our own team buy-in. So the number 1 rule is you have to sell it internally first. What I ended up doing was just getting together, our key players, our director of sales, our director of convention services, and our director of audiovisual. At that moment, I think that's the first thing that you need to do in order to be able to execute a request like this and have a buy-in from your executives, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are going to execute this. So I had to get their buy-in before I can even tell the client that it was possible. I laid it out. I walked them through how it could work, the timing, the logistics, the risk, and to their credit, they were willing to explore it. That was a big moment because now it wasn't just my idea, it was our plan. But then we hit the wall. We needed approval from the existing Saturday client, the one whose stage and AV setup we'll be sharing with that morning on Saturday. And we couldn't reach them. I later found out they were most likely traveling. But in the moment, I knew that days, hours were just passing by and I was not getting an answer. So I followed up morning, midday, end of day, every day, not being aggressive about it, but not letting it go because I knew if we let the momentum go, we'll lose this great opportunity. And then Erica calls me. She says, Ernesto, we found a property near LAX. They can take the whole group. I think we're going to go with them. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't have the final yes yet, but I had our team bought in I had a plan that worked on paper. I had the relationships with our AV teams and partners. I had every single piece except one. So I told her, give me a little more time. I know we can solve this. When we finally got the green light from the existing client, I'm not going to pretend I played it cool. I exhaled because we had been balancing two major accounts with very specific needs. One miscommunication, one misstep, or different handoff could have impacted both programs. The pressure was real the entire time, but our team executed. The agendas were adjusted. Rehearsal windows were coordinated down to the hour. Both clients had to be flexible in ways they had not originally planned. And they were. That's not a small thing. And one thing I want to mention, had a strong relationships with the AV partners. These are companies that normally compete with each other. But because of the trust we built over the years, they were willing to work together on this. That collaboration doesn't happen without relationships. It just doesn't. In the end, the first client actually got great value from their AV investment. Their setup served double duty. The client or the second client, Erica's group, kept their full production intact throughout the program. Both groups were taken care of. Both felt like they were priority. When I think what actually made this work, it wasn't one thing. It wasn't some kind of stroke genius. It was a lot of small things done right. Getting internal buy-in before making promises, being transparent with both clients about what was needed or was asking of them, following up when it wouldn't be easier just to let it go. Leaning towards your relationships with the vendors involved that took years to build, everything added up just for this successful collaboration. If I could say one thing to any planner who finds themselves in this situation where it looks impossible and everyone around you is saying it can't be done, it will be this. Pause before you accept that. Bring the right people to the table. Be honest about what you need. And don't underestimate your relationships. Because when everything else gets complicated, trust is what gets you through. Someone came to me for help. And the fact that she had faith in me, that I was that person she called in when she was stuck, meant everything for me. I felt the responsibility to find a solution. Not just for the business, but because I wanted to show up as that person she really believed I was. In this industry, leadership isn't always about having the perfect answer the moment someone asks. Sometimes it's about being willing to stay in it, stay in the problem, stay in the discomfort, keep pushing long enough for the solution to come through. This was a great experience and a story that I always tell to some of my clients.